chosen ones, while you've been fighting battles that felt endless, while you've been questioning whether anyone sees your struggle. Forces beyond your imagination have been positioning themselves around your life like silent guardians. The universe has been orchestrating something so massive, so protective, so shocking in its scope, that when you discover the truth, you'll understand why every betrayal had to happen exactly as it did. This isn't about hope or wishful thinking. This is about power recognizing power. While you've been transforming your wounds into wisdom, individuals with resources that could reshape nations have been watching your journey with growing fascination. They've witnessed something in your evolution that has moved them to action in ways that will terrify your enemies and astound even you. What they're prepared to do to protect your mission will rewrite everything you thought you knew about how the world really works. The energy around you is shifting with velocity that defies explanation. What felt like isolation was actually preparation. Every moment you stood alone against impossible odds was being documented by intelligence networks you never knew existed. Your refusal to break under pressure that would have shattered others has caught the attention of people whose single phone call can alter the trajectory of entire industries. They've been waiting for you to reach the exact frequency where their support becomes possible. Understand that your recent awakening wasn't random timing. That sudden clarity about your life's direction, that inexplicable knowing that everything is about to change. These aren't fantasies born from desperation. You've been receiving downloads from consciousness levels most people never access because you finally reach the vibration where such communication becomes possible. Years of choosing growth over comfort, of refusing to let bitterness poison your heart, of maintaining hope when logic demanded surrender has elevated your frequency to match forces that have been waiting in the wings. The individuals preparing to enter your life operate from moral compasses that guide them towards supporting those who embody the changes they wish to see manifested in the world. They caught sight of your transformation, not through self-promotion or networking, but through the authenticity of your evolution. In a world saturated with performative spirituality and manufactured inspiration, genuine transformation stands out like a beacon cutting through fog. Your willingness to face shadows that most people spend lifetimes avoiding, to break generational patterns that have enslaved your lineage for decades, to choose healing over revenge, has created a resonance that draws powerful allies like magnetism draws metal. But here's what will shock you about how they've been monitoring your progress. Every act of kindness you performed when no one was watching created energetic signatures that register on spiritual instruments most people don't know exist. When you chose to help that stranger despite your own struggles. When you forgave betrayals that would have hardened others permanently. When you maintained integrity in situations where cutting corners would have been easier. All of this was being witnessed by those whose job involves identifying souls worthy of extraordinary investment. This benefactor sees something in you that perhaps you haven't fully recognized yet. They understand that your struggles weren't random punishments from an indifferent universe, but carefully crafted initiations designed to forge someone capable of carrying a torch massive enough to illuminate paths for thousands. The childhood wounds that nearly shattered you were simultaneously breaking chains that bound your ancestral line to cycles of limitation, fear, and suppression. Every time you chose love over hatred, growth over stagnation, truth over comfortable lies, you were rewriting the story not just for yourself, but for everyone connected to your energy field. This ripple effect hasn't gone unnoticed by those whose entire purpose revolves around identifying and supporting catalysts for positive change. You've risen to the top of their list, and the support coming your way isn't charity or pity. It's investment in a mission they recognize could impact millions of lives. They've observed how you naturally become a guiding light for others who are struggling, how your presence alone can shift someone's entire perspective from hopelessness to possibility. Your specific combination of wounds, wisdom, and resilience creates the perfect foundation for something that defies conventional understanding of how influence operates. What makes this even more remarkable is the timing precision involved. Your benefactor has been waiting for you to reach a specific level of inner development before making contact. They understand that premature intervention, no matter how well-intentioned, can actually interfere with the natural evolution process that creates authentic strength. The timing of their emergence in your life isn't coincidental. It's precisely calibrated to your readiness to receive support without becoming dependent upon it. This level of strategic patience demonstrates the depth of their understanding about how true empowerment operates. You've passed tests you didn't even know you were taking, demonstrated qualities under pressure that most people only aspire to in theory. Not everyone in your sphere wants to see you succeed. Your upcoming elevation threatens people who have grown comfortable with your struggle. These aren't necessarily evil individuals, but they've constructed their identities around being needed by you, around feeling superior to your circumstances. Your transformation challenges their entire worldview about what's possible, what people deserve, and how life actually works. Some of these resistance forces operate from places of supposed authority in your life. Family members who've positioned themselves as your advisors, friends who've grown accustomed to your struggles, providing them with purpose, institutions that profit from keeping certain truths buried. Your evolution threatens their established order, and they will not surrender their influence without deploying tactics designed to make you question your worth, your readiness, your right to receive such support. But here's where your unknown allies' true power becomes evident. They don't just possess financial resources, though those are substantial enough to make your current concerns about money seem quaint. They command legal, social, and political influence that can neutralize opposition with surgical precision, that will leave your enemies wondering what forces they've awakened. The resistance you'll encounter operates on multiple levels simultaneously, each more sophisticated than the last. On the surface level, you'll face obvious opposition from those whose authority depends on your continued struggle. These individuals might attempt public discrediting, spreading narratives designed to make others question your character or worthiness. They understand that your transformation threatens their position as gatekeepers of possibility, and they will not surrender that role gracefully. If this stirs your spirit, give this video some love so other chosen ones can find their way here. More insidiously, you'll encounter opposition from those who claim to support you, but whose actions consistently undermine your progress. These individuals have unconsciously invested in your struggle because it provides them with sense of purpose or superiority. They offer help that creates dependency rather than empowerment, advice that keeps you circling rather than advancing, emotional support that reinforces victim consciousness rather than cultivating strength. The most dangerous opposition comes from systems and institutions that have built their entire foundation on keeping certain truths hidden. If your mission involves exposing abuse, corruption, or deception that implicates powerful organizations, you'll discover that their response involves resources and strategies that seem almost supernatural in their coordination and effectiveness. They possess influence that extends into legal systems, media networks, and social institutions, creating webs of protection for themselves that have seemed impenetrable. The support system being assembled operates with efficiency that resembles military campaigns planned by strategic minds that have spent decades studying how power flows through networks most people never see. Every potential obstacle has been anticipated, every vulnerability protected, every attack vector defended. While you've been focusing on inner work and personal healing, entire networks of influence have been quietly restructuring to create pathways for your success that bypass traditional gatekeepers entirely. This protection extends beyond mere defense against external threats. Your benefactor understands that true empowerment requires addressing root causes, not just symptoms. They're prepared to provide resources that will heal generational wounds, not just within your family line, but within communities you'll touch through your work. This is systemic change disguised as personal support. And the magnitude approaching will shock you, because we're not discussing modest improvement in circumstances or small breaks that provide temporary relief. The support manifesting around you creates what mystics call a field of grace, a zone where synchronicities multiply, where obstacles dissolve more easily, where opportunities arise with perfect timing. But this isn't passive magic. It's the result of powerful individuals actively clearing pathways, removing barriers, and creating conditions where your natural brilliance can shine. Respond to both power and powerlessness. How you treat those who can help you versus those who cannot. How you handle resources when you have them versus when you don't. Your consistency across these variables convinces them that amplifying your influence will serve the highest good. This isn't sentiment or charitable impulse. This is strategic investment by evolved consciousness, recognizing authentic transformation when it witnesses it. This is because your benefactor didn't arrive at their position of influence through luck or inheritance alone, though both may have played a role. They've spent decades studying how power operates at the highest levels, how information flows through networks of influence, how perception shapes reality in ways that most people never recognize. They've become masters of the very systems your opponents believe they control exclusively. What will shock you most is discovering that your benefactor has been orchestrating support through multiple proxy organizations and intermediaries, creating layers of protection so sophisticated that even if your enemies attempt to trace the source of your backing, they'll encounter dead ends and misdirection at every turn. Shell companies, charitable foundations, investment firms, legal partnerships, all strategically positioned to ensure your support appears to come from diverse, unconnected sources, when in reality, it flows from this singular powerful ally who understands the necessity of operating through shadows. The synchronicities beginning to manifest around you serve as confirmation that this network is activating on your behalf. Doors will open with impossible timing. Resources will appear precisely when needed. People with exactly the right expertise or connections will enter your sphere just as their contributions become necessary. These aren't coincidences. They're results of careful coordination by individuals who understand how to orchestrate reality at levels most people never access. Some of these supporters have been influencing your life from distance for years without your knowledge. Opportunities that seem to arise naturally may have been carefully created. Obstacles that mysteriously resolved themselves may have been quietly removed by unseen hands. People who appeared at crucial moments, offering exactly what you needed, may have been guided to you by forces you never suspected existed. This revelation might initially disturb you, raising questions about free will and authentic achievement. The transformation process itself becomes a teaching for others who are watching your journey. Every challenge you navigate with grace, every temptation you resist, every choice you make from integrity rather than advantage, demonstrates what becomes possible when someone commits fully to their evolution. Your life becomes a living curriculum in conscious leadership, authentic power, and service-oriented success. But the most profound shift will be internal. The dissolution of protective mechanisms that have served you through periods of scarcity and danger, but now limit your capacity to receive and circulate abundance. The hypervigilance that kept you safe during vulnerable times will gradually relax as genuine security replaces survival mode. The independence that helped you survive abandonment will evolve into interdependence that recognizes the beauty of mutual support. Your role in this cosmic arrangement isn't passive. You're not being rescued or saved. You're being equipped for a mission that requires unprecedented resources and protection. The universe doesn't invest this heavily in anyone without expecting massive returns in the form of positive impact on collective consciousness. The childhood dreams you abandoned because they seemed unrealistic. Those weren't fantasies. They were premonitions. Rest assured that every choice you've made, every lesson learned, every transformation undergone, has been entirely your own. The support has been environmental, creating conditions where your authentic growth could flourish rather than manipulating development directly. Your role in this cosmic arrangement isn't passive. You're not being rescued or saved. You're being equipped for a mission that requires unprecedented resources and protection. The universe doesn't invest this heavily without expecting massive returns in positive impact on collective consciousness. Those childhood dreams you abandoned because they seemed unrealistic weren't fantasies. They were premonitions. The visions you had during meditation that seemed too grandiose to share weren't ego projections. They were downloads of your actual future. The knowing you've carried that your life was meant for something significant wasn't delusion. That was truth preparing you for this moment. Every person who told you to be realistic, to lower expectations, to accept limitation as wisdom, they were unconsciously serving old paradigms. Your emergence is designed to collapse. This internal recalibration requires patience with yourself, as neural pathways carved by trauma gradually reshape themselves around safety and abundance. Your nervous system, accustomed to stress hormones and survival responses, will need time to adjust to sustained peace and security. Expect waves of emotion as decades of stored tension finally find safe expression. As parts of yourself that went into hiding during difficult times slowly emerge into the light of your new reality, the generational patterns you've been breaking weren't just family karma. They were collective shadows being cleared through your individual work. Your healing has been contributing to humanity's evolution, and now you're receiving commensurate support for the service you've already provided. This isn't payment. It's amplification of your capacity to serve at an even greater scale. Everything that wounded you was simultaneously preparing you for this expansion. Every betrayal taught you to recognize authentic loyalty. Every loss taught you what truly matters. Every moment of despair taught you to find hope in impossible circumstances. These weren't random sufferings. They were curriculum designed to prepare you for responsibilities that require extraordinary resilience. Your unknown allies recognize that what appears unrealistic from scarcity mindset becomes inevitable from abundance perspective, backed by strategic resources. The transformation accelerating around you will be public. This isn't private victory celebrated in solitude. This is demonstration of what becomes possible when someone refuses to let circumstances define destiny. Your success will be visible enough to inspire others still trapped in cycles you've transcended, while simultaneously serving notice to systems that profit from keeping people small. The opposition that emerges as your influence grows will actually serve your mission. Every attempt to diminish your impact will be met with such swift and decisive protection that observers will understand they're witnessing forces beyond normal comprehension. This demonstration of power backing your purpose will discourage future challenges while inspiring those who've been waiting for evidence that such protection exists. You were never meant to walk this path alone. The Obsidian Inner Order isn't just another spiritual community. It's a sanctuary for the exiled, the awakened, the ones who've been gaslit for their gifts and abandoned for their truth. Every week we gather live on Zoom, real people with real faces, sharing real stories of transformation. There's a former CFO who embraced their psychic abilities, a seer who broke free from religious oppression, and a healer who survived ritual abuse and found their power. Dozens more join us who understand exactly what you've been through. This is your spiritual family, never going to give you up, never going to let you walk through this awakening alone, never going to scroll past your suffering like it's just contempt. Your exile from the ordinary world wasn't punishment. It was preparation for this, for us, for the family that chooses you back. Join the Obsidian Inner Order. Link in description. Your story is becoming a living testament to what's possible. When someone commits fully to their evolution despite the cost, every conversation you have, every decision you make, Every boundary you maintain now carries the weight of example for others who are watching to see if transformation is worth the struggle. Your life is becoming proof that the universe rewards authentic growth with resources that exceed imagination. What's approaching will exceed every fantasy you've entertained about your potential. The dreams you've nurtured in private, the visions you've barely dared to acknowledge, the possibilities you've glimpsed during moments of expanded consciousness. All of this was preparation for recognizing the magnitude of what's now manifesting. Your imagination wasn't creating unrealistic expectations. It was downloading blueprints of your actual destiny. What you haven't realized is the sophisticated intelligence network that has been documenting your choices for longer than you might imagine comfortable. Every moment you showed kindness when no one was watching. Every instance you chose integrity over advantage. Every time you lifted someone up when you yourself were struggling. All of it has been witnessed and recorded by those whose job involves identifying individuals worthy of extraordinary investment. Your actions create energetic signatures that register on instruments most people don't know exist. When someone consistently chooses love over fear, truth over comfort, service over self-interest, they become visible to networks that specialize in amplifying such frequencies. The benefactor approaching your life represents conscious effort by evolved souls to create rapid transformation in human consciousness who have already proven commitment to growth over comfort. Everything that wounded you was simultaneously preparing you for this expansion. Every betrayal taught you to recognize authentic loyalty. Every loss taught you what truly matters. Every moment of despair taught you to find hope in impossible circumstances. These weren't random sufferings. They were curriculum designed to prepare you for responsibilities that require extraordinary resilience. The protection surrounding you extends into dimensions most people never consider. While your conscious mind focuses on practical concerns like finances and logistics, higher aspects of your being are being shielded from psychic interference, energetic manipulation, and spiritual attack. Your unknown allies understand that transformation catalysts need protection that operates on multiple levels simultaneously. What's approaching will exceed every fantasy you've entertained about your potential. The dreams you've nurtured in private, the visions you've barely dared to acknowledge, the possibilities you've glimpsed during moments of expanded consciousness. All of this was preparation for recognizing the magnitude of what's now manifesting. Your imagination wasn't creating unrealistic expectations. It was downloading blueprints of your actual destiny. The scope of transformation awaiting you encompasses dimensions you haven't yet considered. Beyond the material resources and protective influence, beyond the network of powerful allies and the dissolution of limiting circumstances, lies something even more significant. The recognition of your true nature and the full activation of capacities that have been dormant throughout your human experience. But here's what will truly leave you speechless. Your benefactor doesn't just possess wealth in traditional currency. They control assets that governments covet. Rare earth minerals, patents on breakthrough technologies, access to information that could topple entire industries overnight. When they decide to back your mission, you're not just receiving financial support. You're gaining access to resources that most world leaders can only dream of commanding. This level of backing means that when opposition attempts to pressure you through economic means, cutting off funding sources or limiting business opportunities, they'll discover that your support system operates at levels where such tactics become laughably ineffective. The magnitude of their resource control extends into territories that reshape global markets, energy sectors, pharmaceutical breakthroughs, communication technologies, environmental solutions. Your allies' portfolio reads like a blueprint for humanity's future. When they choose to align these resources behind your mission, the ripple effects will be felt across continents, and your opponents will realize they've challenged forces capable of altering the trajectory of entire civilizations. You are not simply someone who has endured and overcome, though you have done both magnificently. You are not merely a survivor who learned to thrive, though your resilience has been extraordinary. You are a consciousness that chose to incarnate during this particular time in human history, specifically to play a role in the species' evolution toward greater awareness, compassion, and wisdom. The challenges you faced were not random difficulties assigned by an indifferent universe, but carefully designed experiences intended to develop qualities necessary for the mission you're about to undertake. Every betrayal taught you to recognize authentic loyalty. Every loss revealed what truly matters. Every moment of despair strengthened your capacity to offer hope to others in similar circumstances. Every instance of abuse or neglect developed your ability to create safety for those who have never experienced it. What your enemies don't understand is that your benefactor operates with intelligence networks that make government agencies look primitive by comparison. They possess real-time information about market movements before they happen, political decisions before they're announced, social trends before they emerge publicly. This isn't insider trading or corporate espionage. This is consciousness operating at frequencies where information becomes available before it crystallizes into physical reality. When your opponents attempt to blindside you with unexpected attacks, they'll discover that your support system anticipated their moves months in advance and already positioned counter-strategies that turned their aggression into advantages for your mission. The journey that led you to this moment wasn't just personal evolution. It was preparation for playing a role in humanity's awakening. Your individual healing becomes collective healing. Your personal breakthrough becomes template others can follow. Your success becomes evidence that transformation is possible even from the most challenging starting points. The Chosen One's journey doesn't end with personal salvation. It begins there. What awaits you now is the real work, the purpose for which all your preparation was designed. And the forces gathering to support that work will shock even you with their power, their reach, and their absolute commitment to ensuring you succeed. And in the end, as you stand in the fullness of what you've become, surrounded by the support you never dared dream possible, protected by forces you never knew existed, you'll understand that everything that seemed to work against you was actually working for this moment. Every dark night of the soul was preparing you for the brightness that now illuminates your path. Every moment you questioned whether you were enough, whether you mattered, whether anyone would ever truly see you, all of that doubt dissolves in the recognition that you've been seen, valued, and supported by powers beyond your current comprehension.